I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm on the trail of the Hound of Titnore Lane. The sightings of dogs or mysterious hounds has been very popular in the history of folklore throughout the ages. Sussex, of course, has got its fair share of them, and Tales of Old Sussex by our good old friend Philip Mercer from 1834 also has reference. Behind me here is Titnore Woods, I believe quite an ancient piece of woodland, and I'm on a track that runs up to Highdown. I'm just north of Worthing. The A27 is roaring to the east and west of me just here, and Worthing would be in that direction, and then you've got this ridge, this hill, which is Highdown, famed for the miller who had obviously a windmill and a tomb, who was in league with smugglers back in the day. But I'm talking about a time back in the 12th and 13th century when the rumour of this mysterious hound came. Unfortunately, we can't go into Titnore Woods because I think it's private property. Such woods housed a community of woodland people who were living a very poor life, very hand to mouth, and living in very unfamiliar kind of conditions that we would expect today. They would be living in some form of wooden houses, not the sort of Tudor timber framed houses that we know that exist from the Elizabethan period that fetch eye-watering prices. No, nothing like that. These would have been mud huts with sticks and clay. It is said that in these woods in the 12th and 13th century there roamed a horrific black hound. It had devilish red eyes, powerful hind legs, huge teeth, razor-sharp claws. Some say it was actually not a dog, but a boar, the Titnore boar. Either way, it seems that it attacked babies. It attacked often and caused much heartache. It's hard to conceive that such a beast would really have existed, except that, of course, even in modern days we hear and read in newspapers and on the news that dogs do attack children, toddlers and babies on occasion. So maybe there is more than just myth to this story. It's definitely true that woodland, of course, can be quite spooky in the evenings and at night time, and even on a dark, dim day it can be quite foreboding to walk through a wood. There's the sound of creatures moving about, there's the wind rustling the branches, there's a whole manner of things that can spook a person. And so it's not hard to think that myths like this can easily come to the surface, that people can believe they saw something, a dark, shadowy figure. And yet, at the same time, these things, for people who live in that period, who live in the woods, they're very familiar with all the animals and the different sort of species that would have been there. So if there was something that was a bit different, a bit unusual, I think they would be more clued up about it. So we do have to give some of these legends a little bit of credence. That being said, let's remember how hard those times were in the Middle Ages. People's life expectancy wasn't terribly long. They didn't have the wonders of modern medicine or the National Health Service. People died relatively young, and children in particular died young. Babies significantly didn't survive. That's why families had to have many children. Sometimes, however, having children was expensive, and a family might have an extra child and realise they couldn't afford it. They didn't want an extra child. They didn't have contraception back then. And so that child, sadly, or that baby, had to be got rid of, perhaps shoved into a hedge, maybe left in the forest, maybe buried. Who knows? So I'm wondering whether this hound, that is most likely not to have existed unless it was some strange animal that we just really don't know about, and it perhaps was more of a euphemism, that what it meant was you had a baby that had died and it had been taken, and it was an easier way to accept the death by putting it into, like the reaper had come, or if you'd had an unwanted child and you had to deal with it, again, that you would use this phrase to say, the black hound has taken my baby, and it was a polite way of saying, or an accepted way of saying, it has been dealt with. Well, it seems my walk has taken me up to Highdown now. It was slightly quicker than I imagined. I've gone up the north slope, really, as I said, from just at the edge of the A27. I happened to park in somewhere called, I think it was Pole Lane, and then there's this presumably lesser known pathway. Most people, I think, come up either from the south or the east and west. You can get up there. I just want to have a look at the views whilst we're here. We may as well just come up through here, up onto the chalky hillside, and there, looking down on Worthing and the sea beyond. I think I said anyway there was an Iron Age hill fort, I think Iron Age or Bronze Age, somewhere here. I'm never quite sure where it is. I think it's in that direction. Well, it's time for me to head back now. My car is back down this lane, which is just behind me here. It's been an interesting investigation. It is sort of a bit inconclusive. Was there a hound? Was it a euphemism? Was there really something there? Perhaps a wild boar that did eat children? It's so distant to know, and the reference in the book that I've taken this from is so vague. The book was written so long ago that we can only have conjecture anyway. But the interesting thing is down this lane, on the other side of the A27, is Clapham Woods. And in the 1970s, it's interesting to note that there was a lot of mysterious goings on. People say it was Satanism. They say all sorts of mysterious magical events were happening, weird things. But what was definite was owners were saying that their dogs were disappearing. Dogs, hounds. It makes you think, doesn't it? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, follow and like, and why not leave a comment? Of course, you can become a patron and help me make more of these videos. Till the next time, I'll see you then. Bye bye.